All right. So I want to introduce myself. I want to introduce our guests, and I want to introduce you to the John Tracy Center. Tonight, we have an amazing night ahead of us. We have what we're calling our speaker series, which is all about creating conversations, about making connections with people, and about spreading the word about John Tracy Center and all the amazing people that come through our doors and all the amazing people that we can make connections with. Tonight, we're going to have an amazing conversation with Derrick Coleman and one of our alumni, Antonio Caballero. Before we introduce you to these young gentlemen, I want to introduce you to John Tracy Center. John Tracy Center started almost 77 years ago. I have the honor to be the president and CEO. My name is Kat Mathis, and John Tracy Center started by a woman of the name Louise Tracy. Her husband, who's a famous actor, Spencer Tracy, they had a son, John, who was born profoundly deaf, and they did not know what to do. They did not know where to go. There were no resources for them back in the 20s when he was born. So Mrs. Tracy researched, went all over the United States and learned how to teach her young deaf son how to speak and how to listen. And mothers came across her and realized all the work that she did. And in the 40s, they came to her and said, "You have got to share your knowledge and your expertise with us. Please, can we start a program for our families and our children?" So in 1943, that's what she did. And John was already older, and they started a program that provided parent education, which is the core to this day of John Tracy Center. And they started a variety of programs, a lot of the programs of what we have today. We have since moved to our new location this year. We are still on Adams Boulevard. This is our brand new facility. Once COVID pandemic is done, I invite everyone on this webinar tonight to come and visit for a special tour. The programs that we have today are very similar from what we've had in the past over the years, but just like many nonprofits, we've had to pivot and change some of the services and things that we provide. We have programs now for newborns all the way up to 18 years old. We provide a variety of services from audiology to diagnosing a child's hearing loss, parent-infant audiology services, ABT services. We have a preschool. We have a graduate program that teaches teachers how to be teachers of the deaf. And we have a worldwide program that provides parent education globally. So anywhere in the world, wherever you are, you can access our services and get our support. We have pivoted again in terms of the way that we deliver our services. It's been quite an unbelievable last few months. And we now are making sure that things are safe. And we're doing a lot of online teletherapy and Zoom classes and sessions and webinars just like tonight. And we want to make sure that if you know anyone anywhere in the world that wants to learn more about how to teach their young child with hearing loss how to listen and speak, tell them to reach out to us. We are here. Tonight, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Antonio Caballero. He's going to tell you his amazing story and how his family came through the John Tracy Center. He's going to talk about how he began here in the early years, about 15 years ago, and about how he has changed through the years and how JTC was the foundation. So we're going to learn a lot about Antonio, and I'm really pleased to introduce him tonight. And we are also going to learn about Derrick Coleman. Derrick's going to talk about his life growing up. Derrick and Antonio share a common denominator, and we're going to find out a lot of those things tonight. One of them is that he also has hearing loss. And Derrick grew up in Southern California as well. And Derrick's going to tell us a little bit about his book, which I've read and I have here. It's an amazing book, and it's about his experience growing up. And I'm not going to ruin any kind of key things because Derrick's going to talk about that, but he'll share his thoughts and wisdom that are part of the book as well. I'm going to jump in and share one commercial that Duracell did that featured Derrick. And then after that, I'm going to let Antonio and Derrick have their conversation, because enough about me and on to this. So give me 1 second and I'm going to pull this up for everyone. It's going to be a fun night.
They told me it couldn't be done, that I was a lost cause. I was picked on and picked last. Coaches didn't know how to talk to me. They gave up on me. Told me I should just quit.
And the last pick is...
They didn't call my name. Told me it was over. But I've been deaf since I was 3, so I didn't listen.
Derrick Coleman.
And now I'm here with a lot of fans in the NFL cheering me on, and I can hear them all.
Amazing. All right. Well, Antonio, I'm going to let you take it away. I just also wanted to let everyone know, I forgot about this. There's a Q&A button at the bottom. If you have any questions throughout the night, please feel free to put those in. We're going to have some time at the end to ask and answer those questions. The questions can be for Antonio or for Derrick. Also, for those of you that need it, there's a closed captioning button, a little CC button at the bottom, and captioning's happening right now if you should need that as well. Let's enjoy the night. Antonio, I am proud to introduce you, and why don't you take it away with your questions with Derrick. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much for that wonderful, lovely introduction. Thank you very much, Kat. Good evening, everyone. My name is Antonio Caballero, and I would like to start by thanking the John Tracy Center for allowing me to be part of their speaker series this evening. I would also like to thank Derrick Coleman Jr. for agreeing to be part of this experience with me. And last but not least, thank everyone online for joining us. Some background about myself. I am a 15-year-old high school student, starting my sophomore year in a couple of weeks. My parents are Mark and Tony, and I have a younger brother, Lorenzo. I was born profoundly deaf and used bilateral cochlear implants to gain access to sound. I was implanted on my right side when I was 16 months old and on my left side at 24 months old. My family and I started at the John Tracy Center when I was 9 months old, beginning with Friday Family School and Delma Home. At 2 years old, I began the preschool program at John Tracy. After graduating from the JTC program, I attended Echo Horizon School in Culver City from pre-K through 6th grade, where 10% of the student body is deaf or hard of hearing, learning through auditory oral communication. I began public school education in the 7th grade, and as I mentioned earlier, I am now a high school student at Monrovia High School. My parents and I are very grateful for the John Tracy staff because they taught us many important lessons that have provided countless opportunities for me in my life. I would not have the unlimited choices I have today if it were not for their amazing program. One of the opportunities was the ability to participate in sports. When I was 4 years old, I was introduced to the game of baseball, and I absolutely fell in love with the game. I still play today for Monrovia High School and aspire to be a Major League Baseball player. My family and I are huge sports fans. Our favorite college team is UCLA, and my dad would take us to their football games at the Rose Bowl. I noticed one player who played his position with passion. The way he gave his best effort in every game impressed me. Later on, I found out that this player was deaf, which inspired me and gave me confidence, because if he could play such an intense sport like football, then I could pursue my dream of becoming a professional baseball player. This man has gone on to become the first legally deaf offensive player in the NFL. He was signed as an undrafted free agent by the Minnesota Vikings in 2012, was picked up by the Seattle Seahawks, playing for them from 2012 to 2015, and was a member of the Seahawks 2013 Super Bowl champion team. His book, entitled No Excuses, tells of his inspirational journey of persevering through his life's difficulties, remaining dedicated to his hard work and no excuse attitude, and how he overcame his challenges as a person with hearing loss. One part of his book, which stood out for me, was how his mom would tell him that he should never let anyone else tell him how far he could go. Clearly, he stands by her advice. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very honored to introduce to you our special guest this evening. Please welcome Derrick Coleman Jr.
Hey, appreciate that introduction, Antonio. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be in the speaker panel that John Tracy Center provided. Just hearing your introduction, I'm grateful that they were there for you and your family. Because I want you to pursue your dream. I want everybody to pursue their dream. Hi, everybody. My name is Derrick Coleman Jr. I'm the first legally deaf offensive Super Bowl champ. And as we're all here today, we're just having a conversation with Antonio and me. We're just gonna see what it's like. Two hard of hearing deaf kids that grew up, didn't really know each other or anything like that, but we endured the same things in life. And we're gonna sit here and conversate and let you guys see what our mentality is, see how we interact with people, maybe get a few insights on what our beliefs and everything, and what makes it great. Because as Antonio said, I won a Super Bowl champ, and yes, that's the ultimate thing, but the sacrifices that I made along the way, the hardship that I had along the way, that wasn't any different than the things that Antonio are going through right now. So to be able to share that with everybody, as well as Antonio, as well with the John Tracy Center, would be a blessing. So without further ado, Antonio, let's start.
All right. So one of my first questions I have for you is, out of all of your accomplishments through professional and through your high school career, what is most important to you and why? And looking back on those experiences, what advice would you give to a young Derrick Coleman Jr.?
One of the biggest things that accomplishment or experience that I've ever really had and I cherish to this day is the not really winning the Super Bowl, but the moment after we won the Super Bowl. And it's the biggest stage of my career, the things that we fought for and bled for and cried for. And I remember talking to my dad and I was like, hey, why is it that this feels great, but I feel like something else felt greater? And my dad just said one thing. He said, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. All of the friendship that I endured along the way, during high school, junior high, all the friends that let me be who I am. And when I didn't line up to the core values or something, they still thrive. All the friends that when I felt I was down, they still were picking me up. Those journeys were now, I cherish those way more. So the young Derrick Coleman, I tell him, hey, just do you and be the best you can, because there's going to be people along the way that are going to love you for that. And it's crazy how it's not one just crazy example like me winning the Super Bowl, me doing this, writing the book. It was just more of the journey. I cherish all of the small things that happened along the way, all the people that supported me along the way, because life ain't easy. And one of the things that I love and I try to preach is nobody likes going through life alone. Nobody likes going through the hard times alone, and nobody likes going through the fun times alone. So cherish every moment, cherish everybody you meet, and love one another.
Thank you very much for that. Now here's something else, another question that I have. And people usually at school, whether it's school or just, walking down the street or whatever it is, people usually just see me as a deaf kid and not for who I am. So I'm wondering, how did you handle with those situations when people saw you as someone who had a hearing loss and not for who you are?
The biggest thing that it hard to understand when you're growing up as a young kid, you're looking for that approval, whether it's from your parents or whether it's from your peers or whatever it is. So the hardest thing to try to teach a kid that we have to do is to love themselves first. This is the card that we're dealt. We're a hard of hearing kid. Like, if I don't have my hearing aids, I can't hear. And so that's just who I am as a person. That's the real me. So if I come across somebody that doesn't see me, oh, just a hard of hearing person, he can't really communicate. I don't really, first thing, yes, it hurts. Me and you can both say that it hurts. It's not, we want them to see us for who we are. But at the end of the day, I can't control what their narrative is. The only thing I control is my narrative, and that is I'm gonna continue doing the things that I love to do and show them who I am. There's a difference between telling somebody something and showing them something. And I'm a visual learner. You show me something, I will always believe it. So I'm gonna show them I'm an upbeat guy, that I like to talk, that I like to have fun. If you pick me up on a basketball game, I'm gonna have fun. You pick me up in a football game, I'm gonna have fun, and we're gonna win. So the best thing you can do is go about being yourself, and don't worry about what other people think, because at the end of the day, your mental thoughts, your mentality is what's gonna take you to the next level. And that's what's the thing. And that's where I was, and that's where the biggest step for a hard of hearing deaf person is to, one, a step. Okay, this is the card that I was dealt. Second, don't go reaching for it. It will come to you. It will, the friendship, the love, when you love yourself and you show that you're upbeat, you're positive, that you're a fun guy to be around, people are gonna love that. People are gonna wanna be around that.
Yeah, thank you very much for that advice. So another question for you is that in your book, you mentioned how nervous you were about making friends because you didn't know what the outcome would be, what their response would be. So I'm currently going through this process when I'm attending at school, where I try to make friends, but I kind of back down from it because I don't know what the outcome is going to be. That's one of the things that we kind of have in common. So I'm wondering, what advice would you give to kids who in school who are experiencing the same situation? And what advice or guidance would you give to parents to help their child?
That's a great question, Antonio. First, I would like to say, as I mentioned earlier, there's a book called No Excuses, and it's really a self-help book, kind of, if you will, and really, me and Antonio sitting here talking, it's basically me telling him my life story when you read it. But you don't also get my way. You also get what my parents' insight, my friends' insight on what it was like to grow up with a hard of hearing kid. And what it was like to raise a hard of hearing kid and deaf kid. So, yeah, definitely check that out. But first, it was definitely hard, making friends, mainly because, I lost my hearing when I was 3 years old. So I had a little hearing at first, I have an older brother and older sister, always joking around, even to this day. And so I remember, well, kind of like the first couple of years after I was diagnosed with hearing loss and had to wear hearing aids, I was kind of a mute. I didn't really talk to anybody outside of my normal family. I didn't, like, if it wasn't my grandma or anything, I shied away. So I was just like, hey, how you doing? I'm just like lagging behind, which is every kid, but at that point, I'm 4 or 5 years old. You're supposed to be running around, yelling no, running away from your parents. And I had all of that energy even today. But I just wasn't comfortable because I thought that I'm different than everybody. They don't understand me. So even if I feel that way with older people, of course I'm gonna feel that way with my own peers. And the biggest thing that my mom and my dad always said was, as I mentioned earlier, one, you can't worry about the outcome because nobody knows. Nobody knows what's gonna happen tomorrow. Nobody can say that they knew exactly what everything that they were gonna do yesterday or today. So you can't ever really worry about the outcome because something good might happen and something bad might happen. And there's everything in life as you are gonna come across, there's gonna be one or two things in my belief. It's gonna be a lesson or it's gonna be a blessing. You're going to learn from that situation. You're going to improve. You're going to get better. You're going to learn how to get better, why I should or shouldn't do that again. Or it's going to be a blessing. It's going to be the best friend. It's going to be the best friend you ever made in life. One of my best friends' name is Derrick. I've known him since I was in 7th grade. Now, were we like best friends right off the bat? No, but did I shy away from saying, oh, okay, hey, let's hang out, or did I stay? And if he said no, he said no, but at the end of the day, I'm not gonna let my shyness, I'm not gonna let me feeling different stop me from going and make something great. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do it, that's already the worst outcome. They said no, or you said no, so I always give everything a go. I wouldn't be the person I am today. I never would have made the NFL if I was worried about what other people think or if I was worried about the outcome. I just go out there and give it everything I have. And if that's enough, that's enough. If it's not, well, we can figure out how to fix it or move on.
Yeah. I like that how you put it that way. Let it be a lesson or a blessing. That's good. I never thought it that way. That's really good. Another one that's kind of similar to this one, whether I have had experiences with my peers, whether in school or my baseball teammates. I had them try to influence me, do some negative behavior, and I'm wondering, how did you handle situations with just like that, but without compromising your character?
One of the biggest things that I tell people, I tell kids, adult, anybody, is to be you. Be the best person that you can be. And with that being said, I'm talking about sports. I'm talking about, I want you to go out there and do you. Don't try to be a different type of player. To be the best you can be. If a fastball is what you throw best, throw the fastball. If you like sliding to second base a lot, steal second base and slide. Do what you do best. So when things come across, as in high school, there was a few friends that I grew up with and known since I was 7th and 8th grade, and they were great. They were I played basketball with them, I played football with them, and every now and then, it's always that party you want to go to. It's always that event and I was, one, I'm not a big party guy anyway. I'm like, one, I don't like party because it's already so loud, and I already can hear in somewhat loud situations. So now you want to get everybody riled up, and then, nah, I can't do that. But if everybody wants to come over, watch movies, play some games, and conversate, I'm all about that. So there'll be times where they want to go party or want to do negative behavior. And first thing I tell myself is, okay, that's not what I do, then I'm not going to do it. The true friends will understand that. They will understand that, okay, that's just who he is. That's the person he is. Now, don't ever worry about, oh, they're going to think negative of me if I don't do this. Don't ever cave into what they call peer pressure, just fitting in with the other people. One of the beautiful things about life is everybody is different. No two people are the same. You have twins, different names. They don't have the same name, but twins, they don't have the same heart. They have one heart, they have individually. Everybody's different in this world. So instead of trying to mimic everybody's different, why don't we accept everybody, embrace it, see what makes it beautiful. And if we combine it all, we can make something great. So those were your true friends will know. So what I always tell the kids, if you're ever in a situation where you don't want to partake in it, but you don't also want to lose that friend, be like, I'm good, guys. That's not what I do. Like, you know what I mean? But hey, if you guys want to go over and play video games or something like that, you know, always let me know. But I'm gonna have to pass. You know, don't ever think that somebody's not gonna like you because you don't do anything. Because at the end of the day, we're all different. We all have our own thoughts. We all have our own minds. So why be different? Why be the same as somebody else?
Thank you very much. Another question that is slightly different from this one, but still connects it to it in some way. Reading through your book of you growing up all the way up to your Super Bowl champion team, when you were discouraged a lot in many ways, whether it was, you're not being drafted or being picked on, being called names, all these other things. How did you deal with those feelings and just keep on moving forward?
Like you just said at the end, you just keep on moving forward, you know. And the best thing about it, though, is as hard a parent as that kid, I've always had the last question, you know, I've always had the thing, okay, I want to fit in. I want everybody to be able to know that, okay, I'm a great guy. I'm nobody different than the next guy. And so whenever time I'm playing sports or all of that, and I'm like, oh man, you can't do it because you're hard to parent. You can't do it. I don't know if it's something I was born with. I don't know if it's something my parents taught me, but I'm super competitive to the point where if you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to say, watch me. You know, I love proving people wrong. They tell me I can't hear, but yet I have hearing aids. I just heard what you said. I'm going to prove you wrong. You said that, okay, you want to be able to play football. Okay, cool. I'm going to go prove you wrong. You know, even if you are right, it's just something in me to want to say, oh, you told me I couldn't do something. And my mom always say, why would you worry about if somebody tell you they can't do something? Because chances are they probably can't do it either. You know, so you always want to go out there and be the best you can be. That's it. You know, and if there can be a lot of people that, man, you suck, you do this, like, you can't hear. Even when it came to my own personal feelings, things that I'm already sensitive about, going out into the huddle and not hearing the play, and it's the fourth quarter and it's the last play. You know, that's like one of my biggest fears. And even though I prepare for it nonstop every day and try to make sure it's on top of my head, you know, every now and then you have that one guy that's looking at me like, yeah, that's the guy that's gonna mess up. Like, yeah, he's not gonna hear it. He's just gonna say it out loud. He doesn't need to say it, but he's just gonna say it. Why? I don't know. But I always just say, man, okay, cool. Just because you think that, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Just because you think I'm messed up, I'm gonna prove you wrong. But at the end of the day, what got me to that moment is I always had a great support system. I always had my mom, my dad, a group of my best friends that even if it did get to me, I hit them up and they get me right back. They just know. Some people, when I'm down, they pick me up without a question, and I do the same for them. And that's where you always got to surround yourself with people that have the same core value as you, the same strength. And they might not have the same dream as you, but you guys all want to work hard and achieve whatever dream it is. So there was some time, give you an example. Back in 2012, I didn't get drafted. I'm bummed about that, but the Minnesota Vikings picked me up, saying, oh yeah, we still have a spot. We want you to come compete for it. And hey, I'm 101 chance to making that chance, but I'm all about proving them. You just give me an opportunity, I'm gonna take it and run. And I just remember, okay, that didn't, going through the training camp, it was a great experience. It was also like one of those deja vus, like, what am I doing here? But all that. So it didn't really work out. I ended up going home, getting cut from the team after the third preseason game. I had a messed up foot. And so I let that heal. I'm going to the gym, and I'm at home for like 2.5, 3 months. and just not doing nothing, like no calls, my agent's over here calling around, but nothing really available. So it's like those times where, man, I'm just soaking in the house, like sitting in my bed or just watching TV all day. All of a sudden, 10:30 comes around, got two of my buddies calling me, knocking on my door. Come on, let's go work out. They know I need to go work out. They know it all. They know that I'm still have my mind on that and that I'm down. But every night on the weekday, doesn't matter if they were working or whatever. I don't care if it's 2 a.m. and they find out if I lifted, if I didn't. Come on, bring your butt on. So that is what I'm talking about, the support system. It's not always the hoorah. It's the people that are gonna tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel the same way about when people say I can't do something. I just take that as a challenge. I'm like, okay, we'll see about that,
So
And-
give me an example when it happened to you.
Yeah, there's been a couple of times where in younger baseball, not high school baseball, but young leagues, there have been some times where there have been some coaches, or maybe not coaches, are my teammates who say, this is not your spot. You can't do this.
Mhm.
You're deaf. You're not going to be able to hear someone, saying ball or like turn left or something. And I'm like, okay, we'll see about that. And I came back the next day and I brought it was not an FM, but it was like technology is moving on. So it was like a small little one, gave it to the coach and he could talk to me in center field if I wanted. But I was like, there you go. And then he said, well, you can't do this. You can't. It wasn't specifically this one person, but over the time, there have been some mostly teammates. So I took it on and I took their spot and I went up in the batter's lineup, everything, showed them.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it, and it's the best feeling in the world too, just to be able
Yeah,
to
it is.
like, hey, like remember when you thought I wouldn't do it? Ha.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, definitely do it gracefully, definitely, never like I'm one of the humble person you ever know, man. Like the fact that I'm wearing this shirt with my own name on it is like beyond me, but
Yeah.
so I always, you never see me. You watch my highlight from high school. Man, I had some good game, and some people go to the end zone and start celebrating. I always took myself back to the bench and celebrated with my teammates, because at the end of the day, without them, I never would have been in that position, and that's one thing that I love about sports that taught me was individual sports to team sports. It's a collective of people trying to team. Think of tennis, right? They're out there by themselves, like Serena Williams, Serena and Venus Williams, right? You think it's just them, right? No, they got coaches, they got trainers that are getting them right. It's that whole team, that support team that helped them get to where they are. And, that's why you see them when they're on the podium, they're thanking them, because without them, they never would have got in that position. So, once we always prove people wrong, you always got to remember to give thanks to everybody that helped you even get there. And that's also one thing that I like to preach too, is when you really, really want something in life, you'll find a way to get it done.
Yeah.
Like you really wanted to get that spot, you really wanted to prove them wrong. So you took your FM system and gave it to the coach. You found a way to get around the barrier that you knew was there. And sometimes people are going to say stuff and that it really is true, but it's not, it's sensitive to you. Instead of getting down about it, you always say, okay, if I really want this, I'm going to find it. Okay, I'm going to, for example, my Spanish teacher told me I was going to fail. She told it straight to my face, said, I don't think there's no way. She told it to my mom and everybody. And yeah, I can barely understand English. Now you want me to learn another language? So, be able to work hard, to go to summer school and then pass with flying colors, to sit down and talk with them like, hey, I can't really hear when it's coming off the radio. Would I be able to come in during lunch? I created a plan to go around the stuff that I can't do so I can still succeed. So at lunchtime, we went to, like if we had a test and there was stuff coming on the radio, I can't hear that. It's all static to me. So she came and I sat there and I, just like me and you do, we read. I sat there and read her list and what she was saying, I was able to write it out, path with flying colors. But at the end of the day, as my mom would say, as my dad would say, and as I guarantee your parents would say, it has to start with us. We have to be the proactive one. We have to be the ones that are wanting to do it. If you don't want to do it, it's not going to get done. If you don't want to go to school and do your work and prove them wrong and get better, I don't care what your support system is, it's not going to get done. It has to start with yourself, and you have to be proactive.
About what you answered earlier in your other answers, something I think we share a lot in common is the support that we get from, whether it's from your friends, taking out to go work out, or our parents. Our parents are very helpful, especially yours, since you guys didn't have a resource, whether it was John Tracy or another resource. I think that's one thing that we can both agree on, that is very, very, that we were very grateful and helpful. Well, it was very helpful during, as we're still getting support from our audiologists and other people. So I think that was really, I feel the same way about that too, from the support that we're getting and the sacrifices that it takes to become where you are at this moment, winning Super Bowl champion, whether going in at lunch, at school, it's amazing.
Yeah. What are some of the sacrifices that you think that might be messing with you, or do you have any sacrifices you kind of still struggle with? Because not all sacrifices like, for example, one of my biggest things was sports, baseball. It takes up so much of your time. And and one of the things that I always did is, okay, I had to recover. I had to go home and rest after a big game on Friday. Saturday, it wasn't all about going out and about and, stretching and doing the rehab. So my biggest thing was, like you said, I got to college and I was still worried about fitting in, still worried about making sure they had the right mind state about me. Hey, okay, just because I'm not around and these settings doesn't mean I don't want to be, so my biggest fear was them when I'm actually sacrificing and working hard and everything, and them, and also the thing that I'm working hard on the social life, is that my social life was going to take a hit. That was my biggest fear, the sacrificing, and it did. But how I got over it was knowing that, okay, I got my dream, and and I want to succeed. I want to play next week. I want to keep getting better and better and better. I have so much fun at it, and I don't want anything to take it away. So that's what kind of got me through that. You ever had any situation like that before?
Yeah, no. Last year, it was my freshman year. It was a lot of pressure. I don't know about you going straight into high school, but it was a lot for me, especially because I was the only deaf. I'm still the only deaf kid in that high school, 2,000 kids. So it was a little bit much. I didn't have that much friends. I knew some kids from baseball in the past years, but they were still like in sophomore year, so I didn't really get any classes with them or anything like that. So my sacrifice was like, for example, this summer I did tutoring and lots of tutoring coming into lunch, trying to focus on my grades so I can be able to play baseball. Right. As much as I hated it, it was still very worth it. And that's one of my sacrifices that I did so I could be able to pursue my dream of being baseball. And I just love it so much. So I had to, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do. It's one of those where, even though I think even that's what our parents do. That's what kind of like this. It's all about priorities. You're gonna pick which. Like, I want to do so many things in life. It's not even funny, man. I want to go off-roading. I want to go play basketball. I want to go golf. I want to go play foot golf. Like, I can do a million different things, but I gotta always prioritize. See what's right. Okay, making sure that the core values, like my dream is to own a big house, to have a bunch of kids running around, a bunch of dogs with the wife. You gotta make sure whatever your core values is, whether it's going to play baseball, when you wake up in the morning, okay, I got to make sure my grades are right. Because one of the quotes is I like to say is, you got to take care of the small thing before it becomes the big thing. You know, you got to take care of your homework before, like, not just the test. 'Cause if you don't take care of the homework, now it's a bigger problem. Now you don't know the text, you don't know the stuff. The teacher thinks you're slacking. That's a whole bigger problem. You just take care of the small things and just do your work. It's actually way easier than not, you know. And it's one of those where I try to take that lesson in everything, whether it talk relationships, whether it's even driving. Think about it. You're 15 years old, right? You're about to be 15 in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna have all these different things to worry about, whether seeing and whether ambulance or police pull you over, you're gonna be able to hear that. We're taking care of the little things. Your parents are training you to always be on the lookout, keep your head on the swivel at all times. I know they're training you that because that's all my dad said. You know, we're taking care of the small things, so I don't ever have to go, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. No, that was never a problem because I'll train myself at always looking. When I come up an intersection in my rearview mirror, I'm always looking. People that drive with me, they say, man, you're always looking like somebody chasing you. I'm like, I don't know what's going around. Like a crash can happen and I'm not here and you guys can, you know, but I'm the one at the wheel, you know. So it's all about, as I said, taking care of the small things before they become big things.
Yeah. I think I feel a little bit the same way, you know, soon to be driving too. So I'm going to be going into an arena where I'm not very usual with, so I will definitely leave you some tips from that.
Oh, yeah.
But here, another question for you.
When's your driver's test?
Say it one more time.
When's your driver's test?
Oh, I don't know. I'm probably not gonna have one for a while because I mean everything's shut down. But I'll take a driving test with my parents.
Hey, that's good. Keep on driving and keep practicing, man. Always remember, practice makes perfect. But driving is a constant. It's a constant practice.
Mm. One of my other questions is for you is that one of them is advocating for myself. You know, usually my parents are always, you know, there to be advocating for me, you know, when I was younger, especially, but now I'm in high school and, you know, it's getting to that point where I'm going to be more independent and I haven't had a much experience of advocating for myself because I'm also really nervous, as I said earlier, you know, talking with others because I wasn't sure about the response. So I'm wondering, what advice would you give kids who are struggling to advocate for themselves?
First thing I tell them is be you. You know, I say that so much because I wish I would have told myself that. I was trying so hard to fit in. I was trying so hard to not be the odd man out.
Yeah.
I kind of lost myself in the process. I kind of was doing things that I just normally wouldn't do. That's not me. And so to advocate for yourself is really just being yourself. You have to love yourself and accept everything that, okay, there's not, and everybody's different in the world. Nobody is perfect, you know, and my belief, the only person that ever walked with after Jesus himself. That is the only perfect person. That's it. I have a problem, that's my hand. My mom had a problem, she can't, both my mom and my dad, they can't see that well anymore. And you know, I have a couple friends that have ADHD or Adderall, depression, anxiety. There's so many different things in the world. So at the end of the day, when it comes to advocating for yourself, you have to be the best. You have to be you. You know, you can't be nervous. You can't worry about what somebody else is gonna say. You know, I remember when I said earlier, I was like, hey, like, if you missed out, you can go, my best friend Derrick, if I didn't go and talk to him and be like, hey, you want to come hang out? And I was worried about the outcome, it never would have happened. So in order to advocate, it's really going out there and showing people that this is who I am. You know what I mean? I'm not saying go flaunting and be like, hey, it's just, if you see somebody walking, hey, how you doing? If they don't do the same, okay, they don't do the same, but you're being the great human being or the person that you want to be, you know. And one of the biggest things that I always say is you have to learn, and your sports system as well, is that self-confidence. You know, it's everybody fears the unknown. You know, if you've never been through something before, you're already fearing it. Okay, like I've never. So I don't know. Like you know how when your mom say, "Hey, don't put your hand on the stove," and because it's hot. Okay, she told you. You did it once, right? That's fear is also good. Fear is good and bad. You did it once, and you burn yourself. Okay, now that fear is telling you don't do that again or you're going to get hurt. So you're going to have a burn, bandage. Now you really can't play baseball. Fear is also bad because it can stop you from a great opportunity coming your way. If you're fearing talking to that person and you're nervous about it because of the outcome, who knows? That can be your best friend. That can be the guy that helped you go take that next step in baseball, whether you know it or not. He can be a lacrosse player and he can give you one tip that can change your whole career, your whole life. You never know. So why be nervous on something that you don't even know the outcome to? You know, and that's where everybody fears. That's why you asked that question earlier, is because if you don't know the outcome, everybody fears. I don't know whether it's like going into an interview for a job. You don't know whether you're gonna get that job or not, but you're gonna show them like, hey, this is who I am. I'm nervous, I'm happy, and all that, but this is who I am, and I know we can make something. You're showing them all the great qualities, you know, that you have. You're not letting that fear hold you back because that can be the greatest job you have.
Yeah, I've struggled with my identity as well. You know, I've had hard times. I've had so many different emotions about my deafness. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I understand what you're saying there.
What kind of emotions did you go through? 'Cause 9 times out of 10, I probably had the same emotion.
Yeah, it was just more of, you know, usually in the beginning, because, you know, you're little, you always want to be like just with everyone, you know. It was more of like hatred, you know, just super angry that I was deaf. I was like, I think there was one time I was just getting out of the shower and my mom was trying to talk to me and I couldn't understand her. I mean, I could read lips, but I had my back turned to her and then she tapped me. She's like, oh, I was talking to you. And it just reminded me that I was deaf. Mm-hmm. So I was like so mad because I just told her, and I yelled at her, why did you make me deaf? I was just so mad. So I've had that type of feeling, you know, just some sadness sometimes, just pure sadness. But all those emotions quickly went away and I just used that to just keep going on, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm gonna have those feelings more as I go on, whether it's about my deafness or not. So I'm just gonna keep thriving, you know. Nothing's gonna stop me. It's just I love being deaf and I love showing other people how I am being deaf. It's just amazing. So yeah.
And trust me, I'm the same boat. Thank you for sharing that too. That's your first time I really heard that from somebody else. I probably said that to my mom a few times, and I don't even know why I'm deaf. Like nobody else in my family is, and I lost my hair when I was 3, so it was like I definitely had a hatred. And it's one of those too, is as you're saying that, I'm looking back just on the last few weeks of my life. I'm like, okay, have I ever done that recently? And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, there's some times where, you know, I live with my girlfriend and there's some times where she be talking real fast and I'm like, okay, can you slow down? And then she gets mad and and then I'm like, no, slow down, please, just slow down. Just like, because she's all up in emotion. It's a good story or whatnot. And then after the story, I'm like, I still get that mentality. Like, man, I wish I could just handle that. I wish you know, but at the end of the day, it's okay to have those thoughts. It's okay to, because you're going through it. You know, you never want to hold back on those feelings because they can burst out and in a bad way, and you don't want it to. You know, you can have that feeling, you can hold it in the burst and not talk about it with your parents, not talk about it with me. and all of a sudden you burst out in the wrong situation. All of a sudden you're over there in front of your coach having that, you know? So it's always a great thing to definitely all those struggles that you had talk about, you know, because 9 times out of 10 may not be the same, but I can relate to it. You know, your mom or your dad or your younger brother, it may not have the same, but they can relate to it. Or if they can't, maybe find somebody that can somewhat relate to it, and or just be motivational. You know, so that's cool, man. You're always gonna have it, like you just said, keep it moving. At the end of you ever play cards like poker? You ever heard, you know, something like that?
Yeah.
Play Go Fish?
Yeah.
You know, they give you 7 cards and those are the cards you got to start and play with. Those aren't the cards that you got to finish with. See, that's the hand that we were dealt. Now, do we have to finish the way that we were handed? No, we can change the outcome. We can work towards it. We can shuffle things around to our outcome as long as we work at it.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but one of my hardest things, you know, still now mostly is, sure, same for you, is that since I'm the only kid in high school of 2,000 kids, you know, being deaf, I never really found anyone to actually tell them how I actually feel, because none of them are deaf. They're never really gonna understand how it feels, you know. So that was one of my hardest, or is still my hardest challenges, I guess. I don't know about you, but
yeah.
yeah.
I still have it, man. Like, you got to realize I was the only deaf guy in the whole NFL. I was the only deaf guy. And it's funny, too, because I actually when I went to high school, there was some twins that had green hearing aids. I think they were at my age or the year younger. And they were, they had hearing aids. And that's the first time I ever went to school with anybody that had hearing aids. So I thought we were going to be best friends, but they was really, as kind of how you think, they were nervous, shy, they didn't really talk, no matter what. I definitely had a little bit of edge as well as you as Force. Force kind of gave me that confidence to go out there, you know, and people start seeing us as, man, we can perform inside the white lines, okay. Like, you know, at the end of the day, of course, they want to know, can we win with you or not? Like, I don't care about like what you're doing, like all the other stuff. So, but I was like, that was kind of, it was sad to me that there were kids that had hearing aids. You guys, and to me, I remember because they were green. I've never seen any color hearing aids like that before. And it was sad because I'm going to high school with all these, and I went to Troy High School, ranked number 19 in the nation academically. And all these smart kids, and I'm like, you know, I'm one of the smart kids too, but we're supposed to already bond just because, like, you know, as soon as me and you started talking, you know, we already kind of connected because we already been through. I know what you've been through. You know kind of what I've been through. You had that connection. So, you know, I hear what you're saying because even when there is somebody there, they can't relate to it. It's not. You're kind of lonely. Like, okay, I can tell my mom, I can tell my dad, but they still don't get it. But at the end of the day, we can't let that stop us from going. Because who knows? They might direct us. They can be hearing this, and next thing you know, they start googling, "Oh, Derrick Coleman, boom, boom, boom." You know what I mean? So it can. Who knows? They can be Antonio. Like, you can be the next person that kids are gonna be looking up to and seeing. Because I will leave it on this. I didn't maybe realize until maybe in the last year that I didn't really meet another deaf adult until I got to college or high school. Like, with my entire life, I was a hard of parent. You would think that I'm looking up to people, but no, different. Like, I'm talking with a list, I'm mumbling my speech, and I never met a deaf adult, and I realized how powerful that is. That's why I made the book. So I'm not trying to make the Times New York bestseller. I made it so they understand that you're not the only one that's been through. Just somebody else has been in your shoes before. And these are the steps that I took. You can take those steps or you can take something similar to it, you know. But at the end of the day, I just want to see you succeed.
Yeah. Yeah, as I was reading your book too, I would stop the book and be like, that's the same. Like, I feel the same way. That's the same. That happened to me. It was so many times. But yeah. Going a little bit off topic here, but earlier you said you didn't know what caused your deafness. For me, I I know why I'm deaf now, but earlier my parents told me when I was younger, I didn't really understand it. And so I always felt like there was a piece of me kind of missing, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I found out, it kind of put the last piece kind of into the puzzle. It all made sense. If I remember correctly, it was one of my great great grandpas or something who was deaf.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just got passed down on my dad's side, and my grandpa had it, my dad has it, but they weren't deaf. And it just happened so that I got deaf. It's like 50-50 chance.
Right.
So I don't know about you, but I would recommend trying to find out, whether going to a doctor or something. I would definitely do that.
Oh yeah, and we tried, man. We and they think it's the same. Like I said, we went through the whole tree, try to figure out, okay, anybody deep down. I lost it when I was 3, so there was, okay, maybe he got sick, or I was born with asthma, and then around 2-3 years ago, it kind of went away. So yeah, we tried multiple things, and the best conclusion, is kind of similar to what you have, is they think it's you have your hearing has two dominant, so a dominant gene and recessive gene. They think that I have a recessive gene and it just took effect later, but it's also one of those where I kind of like not knowing. It was okay. Like I said, this is the card that I was dealt. There's nothing that I can do. I think my biggest fear was, the only reason I wanted to know was, is it going to get worse? Am I going to go to the point where hearing aids or something is not going to work? That's the one main reason why I keep trying to learn and up my education. But me not knowing it is one of those where I kind of like it. It's kind of fun, because of that I made the best of what I had. Regardless of whether it's like somebody has a Honda Civic and they we got Honda Civic hands and everybody has Ferrari hands. They got the nice hand, but we were making the best. I got to the Super Bowl with a Honda Civic, so you make the best of what you got, whether you know it or not. And that's also a life lesson too that I learned. Like, my mom and my dad try to emphasize it. You never know. Like you see so many people. Okay, they try to let me know one thing, like, hard work will always beat talent. I always remember that. Hard work will always beat talent. We make the best of what we got by working hard. You don't realize that I made the league. I'm good at football, running the ball. Now, I'm not good at like other stuff. I'm good at running the ball and everything because like, remember when I was saying about driving?
Yeah.
You have to look everywhere. You have to always know. The same thing in football. I'm running the ball, and I got all these guys trying to kill me, and my line is making a specific hole for me to go through. I have to see all of that. But because I'm working hard already, and that it carried over. So it's just one of those where, okay, hey, if I wasn't deaf, I don't think that I would have been able to, my vision would have been this great, So it's almost where I took the disadvantage and made it to my advantage.
Yeah. That's another thing about being deaf. You still get a lot of advantages with it. For me, it was blue eyes for the start off. And the other one was that it goes, since I'm not be able to hear, it goes, I get my other senses really heightened, all of them is, but my dominant one is like feeling, I sometimes might wake up when like a car drives by my bedroom, it's like a little vibration, It's for me. And that's why, I guess I love Wardenberg's type 1, which is what I have, what made me deaf. So it's kind of a cool thing. I get to use it to my advantage. It's awesome. So yeah.
Yeah. And kind of piggyback off of something you said earlier, I'm definitely complimenting you right here, is don't ever worry about the way you're talking. Don't ever worry about if you stumble or start stuttering, like if you get excited. Don't ever worry about that stuff, man. I have friends who can perfectly hear right, and they stutter. My uncle, had perfect hearing. He had the stuttering problem, like, and you talk phenomenal, man. Like, I remember when he was like, "Oh, like the way I talk." Man, you talk better than me.
Yeah.
So don't ever doubt yourself, like, because if you doubt yourself, other people are gonna doubt yourself,
Yeah.
So don't ever doubt yourself. Go up there with your head high, talk to people, and if they try to help you, and hey, so one of my biggest things, I know you do it as well, I say things not the way they're supposed to be said.
Yeah.
Or
But
I say it the way it's actually felt, how it looked, but it's not really supposed to be said that way, So I call it my own dictionary.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that
you
happens to me a
gotta,
lot. My friends are like, "What are you talking about?"
eh,
So
oh, that's not how you say it. My bad. You just
yeah,
you're always improving it. It's just who we are. But always just know they just love everything you're doing. Know that even if it is bad, even if you do have some confidence, you're young and you're only getting better at it. You want to get better at it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. One of my other questions is, how did you prepare transition to college? I'm going to be going in 2 years, so I'm just wondering.
That was kind of interesting because I was always my parents were never married, so I was always like my dad's house, my mom's house. They were great, never had any issues. It was just, I was finally leaving my bubble. Now, was I excited? Yeah, every kid is excited about finally going out to college and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
My biggest thing was, okay, now I got to do all over again. I didn't make that great making friends because I moved a lot until the middle of fifth grade. And then in the middle of fifth grade, we finally moved down the middle in Fullerton, California, which is a city right next to Disneyland. And it was like the first time we stayed there. We stayed there. We didn't move anymore. So I finally was making friends and keeping them. And so those friends, some of those friends, I'm still my friends to the day. When I got to high school, I kind of stuck with them because I didn't really want to go and make more friends. But even though I did, like going to college, now I'm like, my biggest fear as thing was, man, now I got to do it again. Now I got to go into a situation where I'm not going to, like, I'm different than everybody. They're not going to understand. They may or may not seen a person with hearing loss before. And that was the case. I had guys on my UCLA football team that never talked to another deaf person before. So some of them were making fun of it because they don't know anything about it. And some of them were, okay, hey, like, tell me more about it. And some of them were, I don't care, like, you here, like, they brought you here for a reason. Like, so, but at the end of the day, it was, hey man, I get to go to college. I get to do something that, not many people in the world get to do, and I'm taking, my hearing impairment with me, like, okay, cool. Like, and, but at the end of the day, college is just like high school, man. If you do the work, you're going to succeed. Like, it's nothing different. And all the tools that your mom are teaching you now that you're kind of like, okay, mom, you use them again, I promise.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I chimed in because it's a little after 7:00. I could listen to the two of you have this conversation for another few hours. And I think that you're really inspiring our attendees as well, because we've got a few questions in the Q&A box. We have some people that are sharing their gratitude for you being here. So I'm going to ask a couple of the questions. If you don't mind, I'll pop in and ask them. We'll try and answer a few, and we'll get to those right now. So one of the questions right here, scroll on up. Cindy McGrath, one of our parents of a former JTC student who's now in college. She says, you mentioned Nancy Adjevich as your audiologist in the book.
Yeah.
Is she still your audiologist today?
Audiologist. If she wasn't for her, as Antonio said, I didn't really have the John Tracy thing. My mom didn't really have that resource. Why? Who knows? But her just doing the research and just doing it on her own, and then all of a sudden, Nancy Aldovich came and helping. It was a blessing to all of us, and if it wasn't for her, man, I wouldn't have been in where I am either.
That's great. It's really important. Tonight we have a lot of professionals that have logged in, professionals that have been with Antonio over the years, myself included, because Antonio, I remember you 15 years ago when you came to JTC as a little baby. So it's wonderful to see the relationships that you can build with professionals. Thank you for that. Someone is asking, do you wear your FM in school or on the field when you're playing football, or if you're playing baseball? You mentioned it a little bit, Antonio, earlier about how you gave that to your coach so that you could hear him out in center field. What about you, Derrick?
Yes, ever since the middle 5th grade, ever since they gave me an FM system, I've always loved it because now what the teacher is saying is going straight to my ears. Like, this is another device to help me hear, help me overcome the barrier. Yeah, to the point where I always had it me. I remember in the middle of 5th grade, I was so excited I accidentally took the FM system home with me, and next thing you know, we're on a plane to Hawaii. And I have it with me, and the school district over there calling my parents like, do you guys have it? Do you guys have it? Where is it? So it, I've always had it all the way up until high school. I've never used it in the football. Never really needed to, because I'm really good at reading lips. As long as I can see you, as long as I can see your face and not like your mouth, we're good to go. And with my hearing aids, I can hear really well as well. So, never really. And then once I got to college, I didn't really have it, but I ended up having a note taker. Because Antonio, I know you can relate in terms of taking notes. Like, as soon as the teacher's talking, okay, as soon as you take down and take notes, everything the teacher is now saying, when you're headed down, you don't hear, you don't understand, you're not comprehending it. So I had was the note taker. So somebody else in the class was also taking notes, and they will go and copy them after class, and then I will also get that. So that way I can actually listen to everything he's saying and not miss out on anything important. So it's always going to be things there. And yeah, if you got your FM system and you can use it in sport, use it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So valuable. Technology is changing too.
I don't want no Bill Belichick Patriots going on. No cheating.
Exactly. Yeah.
We'll edit that out. We're not going to use that.
Yeah.
I have a question. Oh, sorry, Antonio. Did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say that I also use an FM system, but I don't have a note taker, but I do have CART. So it's just, someone who sits in there and then types everything up and then emails it to me. So those are basically my notes. But yeah, I just wanted to say that to everyone else out there. It's pretty cool. It's very helpful. There are so many times where I've missed things. Oh, yeah. So yeah, it's really helpful. It makes the battle between my students kind of fair. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's awesome that you guys have it in high school now. Like, I had to wait till college to even get that. So yeah, you're definitely getting all the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, I have another question coming in, Derrick. This is for you. This person says, I am a teacher of the deaf and I work closely with parents. You talk about your mom and dad a lot and how they influenced you. And I think that your mom may be watching us. So hello to your mom. What advice would you give parents of a young deaf child who are worried about their child. And then this is a side note, this person watching, her husband went to Troy High School, class of 2009, and both of them went to UCLA, and they've been inspired by you for many years.
2009, I was there. I went to school with him.
So it's really, what advice do you have for parents? We have some parents watching tonight with little ones, or parents that have just learned that their child has a hearing loss. And a big part of what John Tracy Center does is connect parents together and also help them learn from people like you and Antonio about what their life has been like. Everyone's going to be unique, but your input and your insight about what parents and new parents can do was really valuable.
That's a great question. The first one I can only speak from experience, and the first one is to love the child. Make sure that they know that it's okay if their hearing impairment or whatever problem is okay. Like, I love you regardless. And second, thinking back on all the things, is really, you have to be proactive. You know, I'm over here asking my mom, oh, hey, you hear about John Tracy Center? Like, how did you learn about like how the hard of hearing? And she's a nurse, so she has a little bit of medical background, but like I said, nobody in our family's ever been hard of hearing deaf. She never experienced it. She also had 2 other kids that my brother and sister, not hard of hearing. So, you know, instead of dwelling in the moment, instead of, you know, letting your kid and you come down, you be proactive. You try to figure out, okay, as Antonio said, one, you can figure out why, go to the doctor, try to figure out why, what is happening, get all the results. So now you know what you're dealing with. Now you know what cards you have, you know, and then you start making the best of it, whether it's advocating for them. I can't tell you how many times my mom showed up unannounced at my high school or junior high or elementary and talked to the teacher and just say, hey, he told you he's hard of hearing, right? He told you that he needs to sit in front of the school. And I'm over here embarrassed and everything, but I realized what she was doing, because I'm not in the position, as kids aren't in a position to, kids aren't in a position to advocate for themselves that early, you know. So seeing our parents, seeing the person that we're around daily do it and do the hard work, the dedication, and advocate, it just kind of carries over. It's a dominant effect. You ever notice that a lot of things that you may or may not do, you kind of got from your parents, you know? So as parents, we have to make sure that we're setting the right example, you know, and that you're not treating them any different. You know, that's what I'm glad my parents did. They didn't treat me as, okay, yeah, Derrick, he's deaf, you know. He didn't treat me any different than my brother and my sister. You know, if I did something and I tried to use my hands as an excuse, I got in more trouble. So it, you know, just showing them, as I said first, showing them that, you know, it's okay that it's okay that you're hard of hearing. It's okay that, man, I love you regardless. The world's gonna love you. You know, don't use it as an excuse. And take whatever disadvantage that is and making it to advantage.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to combine 2 of the questions. Antonio, when you are having, you know, well, first I'm going to say I really appreciate both of your honesty and kind of being able to talk about emotions surrounding hearing loss and your deafness. I think it's really valuable for families and other kids growing up to learn that. It's really wonderful to see and to listen to. Someone's asking, Antonio, when you have those feelings, maybe some negative feelings about being deaf, what helps you be positive and feel encouraged again? And in combination with that, Derrick, have you had some of those same feelings, and what gets you through it? Although you've been talking so much about your competitive spirit, your quote of being you, which I love. So let's talk, Antonio, what helps you kind of get get back into that positive mindset and be encouraged again?
For me, it's a little similar to Derrick Coleman, but the other part of it is, those are just little roadblocks in the road. I mean, after you get past that roadblock, you're still going on that amazing, fantastic road trip, having so many fun experiences, whether it's with your family or friends, it's not a good reason to give up on everything if someone just called you a name, or if you accidentally misheard something, you failed at something. It's more of something to use to get back up and to keep moving forward, because there's just so many more things out there to experience and have more fun with and making memories with. So that is what I do to stay up and positive. I also do some therapy, and I mean, my family's support also helps me too. So it's just a lot of positiveness around this. Just because I wouldn't want to miss my next birthday, my mom's 60th birthday, my mom's, I don't know, just something that is amazing and a great memory. It's gonna be a road trip going to Yosemite, going to Alaska, going to Canada, all these other things. There's so many other things. I just think about those things and I just am super happy, and it just makes everything else go away. Who cares about what everyone else thinks or what they call it? I'm not gonna waste my time on that, is what I think. It's like, just
That's
leave
a
them
good
alone.
life lesson for everyone. I'm gonna read something out of Derrick's book that I highlighted that relates to this. And Derrick, you say, there is just too much great stuff out there in the world waiting for you. If you're still mourning something that happened or didn't happen years ago, then you're going to miss out on all the great opportunities that God has placed right on your doorstep today. That's such a valuable life lesson and such wise words for such a young man. And I appreciate that. And I think that that's really helpful for parents and for kids, especially kids growing up with hearing loss. Okay, let's get to the next question. All right, I have a great question for you. Gina, a mom who came through our program with her little boy, and she says, hello, Derrick. I am a mom who is raising a young Black boy who was born deaf and wears bilateral cochlear implants. You are such an inspiration to our family. I worry about how society will treat him being Black and deaf in the future. Any words of advice in raising him to be as proud as you? And I think that, in this unprecedented world and in these times, we've learned a lot, and we can learn a lot from those around you. So Gina, thank you for asking that question. Derrick?
I think thanks for asking the question. And it's a beautiful thing that, she said a young Black boy, because automatically everybody's aware of it. But, at the end of the day, she's not trying to get attention to that. She's just trying to figure out how to deal with all the struggles of being a Black guy in America, and also being hard of hearing, because how we present ourselves in public, how we present ourselves to people, is how people are going to perceive us, how they're going to look at us, right? So the best thing we can do is teach them to be great, teach them to, right or wrong, teach them how to work hard, how to persuade others, how to encourage others, how to motivate, how to inspire, and how to do the best they can do, be the best human being, or be the best man that he can be, because at the end of the day, all we can do raising kids, all I can do with these kids is give them what I know. All my mom can do was give me all the knowledge that she had. Ultimately, it's still my decision to make. It's still my decision to wear my hearing aid, to do this, but at the end of the day, what I can tell her is just to keep raising him and loving him and letting him don't shy away from it. You know, my mom and dad kept me in the bubble, but at the end of the day, they didn't. You know, one of the things that she did when I was younger and I didn't want to talk to anybody, I was being a mute, only talking to some close friends, close family, they took me everywhere with them. Places I didn't want to be, forced me in conversation I didn't want to have as a young kid, you know, but it forced me to break out of my shell, forced me to realize that, okay, if I want to communicate, if I want to do the things I like in the world, this is how it needs to be done. And as parents, that's the only thing you can do, love and show it by example. You know, if they see you smiling and blessing everyone and just loving and accepting, that's who they will be too, you know. And yeah, like I said, teach him to be him, be the best that he can be.
I love it. Those are good parenting advice and good just advice in general. All right, we have another question from our Mobeen Ansari, who's a photographer from Pakistan, who's watching us tonight. He was one of our very first panelists, and he says, "I am so inspired by your approach to life. Your antidotes will help me look at things in a different way for the rest of my life. As a hard of hearing individual myself, I often rely on lip reading." We talked about that tonight. "And as a photographer, I work in loud places and fast moving pace. How do you adapt, and how are you able to read lips in such a fast moving environment in your games?" Probably pretty hard to read lips during games when you have all that equipment
No,
on.
not really, not really. You got the helmet, then you got a face mask right in front of it. There's usually a little hole in the face mask.
True.
And the good thing about football is there's only one person really doing all the talking, and that's the quarterback. But as I mentioned earlier, you know, one of the biggest quotes my dad always said was, "You got to take care of the small stuff before they become big things."
Yeah.
And from the first day that I walked, same thing. My mom advocated for me. She was teaching me how, when you go in that locker room, you go up to Russell Wilson, you go up to whoever the quarterback is, and you let him know, okay, my name is Derrick Coleman, and I'm hard of hearing. I wear hearing aids to help me hear better. You let him know everything, so that way when you get on the field, he already knows. When I wear hearing aids, but also read lips. So if you're ever in the huddle, I'm standing right next to you. As long as I can see your lips. You don't always have to look at me, but as long as making me so I can see you, and just say it, you know. And if it's ever to the point where I'm repeating something back to you, it's never that I don't know what it is. It's almost more I'm trying to confirm it. If you ever change the play at the line of scrimmage and to something that we didn't practice, all you have to do is just turn around and you don't have to yell it. Just tell me, I'm gonna read your lip. If you ever get into the cadence and I come running up to you and grab you, I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm just trying to make sure you can play. Because at the end of the day,
That's probably good advice too, to make sure.
But at the end of the day, if I do the wrong job, then I'm messed. Like we all do the wrong. We all have to be all on the same page in order to be successful. And that's life in general. You know, if you're ever at a wedding event, or you know, you let the whoever going to be directing, whoever maybe have somebody who a close friend go with you so they can help translate or something like that. There's always ways to get around it, and like I said, you just got to take care of the small things, and that's one thing that my hearing is a small thing compared to all these different problems and things in the world.
Okay, let's see here. I have one for Antonio. And honestly, I could talk to you guys and ask these questions all night. We might have to cut off early. I don't want to take up everyone's time, but we'll make sure we'll get to as many as we can. Antonio, what are some of the greatest challenges you feel you've overcome when it comes to school?
Well, the first thing that I overcome is just the noise class, like the noise in the classroom. Mm-hmm. I just do my best to just cancel it out and focus on the teacher or whoever's speaking. Another thing in school is is trying not to feel embarrassed, sort of. You know, I wouldn't use the word humiliated, but I would use the word embarrassed because, you know, carrying around an FM, you know, especially in the back in the days, it was bigger, so it's more obvious, but still carrying around an FM system and a pass around mic, so my students that use it, carrying that around still, you know, signals to everyone else that I'm different. There's something not wrong. There's something different about me. So I try to do that every day. I try. It's very hard, but it's I'm still trying to come off as like, yeah, I'm deaf. What's the problem? Like, you know, like I'm glad I'm different, you know, because now I'm on the spotlight. I get to do everything. It's just awesome. I love the spotlight. So that's one of the other things I overcome. Something else that is one of the hugest things is making friends, especially because especially the first couple of like months of my freshman year in high school was very awkward and just uncomfortable because I didn't really know anyone there. I was obviously different than everyone else. And all I did was, it all started from my baseball team because they were, you know, good guys and they understand what's going on. So I opened up to them a lot and they just accepted me, which was awesome, you know. So I kept doing that as I went back into school and class. I opened up, I just talked with people and they'll ask me questions, you know, what's that on your head? Or like, what is this? And I was just answering them. I love the questions. Some people don't have the confidence or don't want to feel rude about asking me maybe sometimes. So I encourage them to do it. But so I would answer the questions and then it's just an immediate connection and bond. So I just love, those are the things that I overcome in school to, you know, get good grades and, you know, be a good person and do great in what I love, which is baseball. So yeah.
You are a great person.
I love it when people ask me what are things in my ear too.
Yeah, it's the best.
It's the best thing in the world. And one of the biggest things in the world is you can turn your hearing off. So can I.
Yeah.
The world off, you know. And as a hard of hearing kids, the ones that when somebody's over there bullying you and all of that, and you're just like, just turn your hearing off and walk away. You don't need
right.
That's something that needs to be that I need to pay attention to. Turn them off and walk away. You know, so it's like we have that option. You know, we're taking advantage and making an advantage. So but yeah, man, it's always cool. Always remember that you're worth it and you can do it. You know, no matter what, if you put your mind to it and you really want to do something, you really want to make friends, you really want to get good grades, it's possible. You know, nothing's impossible in this world. So. You know, you're gonna have struggles for the rest of your life. It's just the circle of life, but with how your attitude is when you approach it, it's always a great thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to say the two of you have been so enjoyable to listen to. I just wanted to say to you, there's one more question, comment, and then we'll end because it's getting late. But I think we might need to do this again. So if you guys agree on it, we'll make sure that this happens again. Totally. Antonio, there's someone, her name is Danielle, and she wants to say hello to both you, Derrick and Antonio. She has a young son who is 21 months old, who also wears bilateral cochlear implants. And her husband is Tyus Edney, who played and won a championship at UCLA in 1995. And he works in athletics there. And he would like to extend any help, any contact with the baseball program at UCLA for Antonio. So we're having conversations and making connections here. Derrick, they also say they would love to connect with you. I would love for you to be able to contact me, Danielle. It says that you're going to contact JTC, and we would love to have you come by as soon as all of this is wrapped up. But I will make sure that we connect with you. I really appreciate it, Danielle. It's very amazing of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share this last screen with you. So again, I appreciate everything that you did tonight, all the conversations that you had with us. It has been such an amazing evening listening to both of you. Well, let's make a connection with JTC and Derrick Coleman. Tonight, we've learned a lot, that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, and that you can look at things as a lesson and a blessing. And I really appreciate that. The thing is that you've learned that the beautiful thing about life is that everyone is different, and accepting that, having a team spirit and being you really makes you who you are. Everyone at JTC is so incredibly proud of you, Antonio. We're so incredibly inspired by you, Derrick. I think that the connections we made tonight hopefully will be lifelong connections. I really appreciate your mom, Derrick, Mama May, and your dad, and of course, Mark and Tony Caballero. These families have created young men that we are so valuable to their insight. Again, if anyone has questions about John Tracy, please reach out to us. And again, thank you for a wonderful evening, lots of conversation, and this is recorded, so we'll make sure we post it and post it on Derrick's site as well. Thank you guys for all of it.
Thank you, Derrick.
Take care.
Hey, appreciate you guys. Great. And man, that went by fast.
It really did. Time flies when you're having fun. Thank you so much, guys.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.